The story of a people is told best by those who live it out daily. And when the history of that community is informative, inspirational, and insightful, it should then be shared with the world. The Clio Exchange does that.
Everything in this room is designed to protect records. The carpet, the tables, the chair, the lighting, even the windows. We want these records to be around for hundreds of years more.
Dr. Walter Hill, thank you so much for coming to be on the Clio Exchange.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here and really an honor.
Yeah, well, I've been looking forward to it because I knew that the wealth of knowledge that you have about Black history and the audience that we've been appealing to for the past 5 years are going to be thrilled with what you've got to tell them.
Okay.
And so let's start out talking about your love of history. Where did all that start?
Well, I was an undergrad major in history at the College of Worcester, and I was in the class of '71, and I was a history major. And at that time, the Black Revolution, Black Power movement, and the Vietnam War was raging. And I had to find out, and cities were burning up, and I had to find out why this was happening, why Black folks were acting crazy. So I had my answer in history. Okay. So I went on to grad school to earn a MA and a PhD, and I was preparing myself to become a university history professor.
Okay. And this is from a boy who grew up in St. Louis.
Right.
And not under the best of circumstances.
No, I grew up in a housing project called Pruitt-Inigo, and it was a tough place to live there for a while, but it was a loving, family-oriented project when I was there. And then there was a Northside Teen Ministry run by the Ecumenical Council in St. Louis. And one of the ministers got interested in me and said, Walter, I think you should go to college. My mother was pushing me to go to college too.
Okay. And we're going to jump around a little bit because there's no doubt about it that I love and respect you a lot. And it's going to be hard for us to get it all out in 30 minutes. So I'm just going to jump around a little bit.
That's fine.
Right now you serve as the senior archivist.
Senior archivist.
And subject matter expert.
Right, in federal records and Afro-American history.
At the
National Archives and Records Administration.
Praise the Lord. I mean, that's a big job.
Well, I'm really the leading authority on the documentation of African Americans and federal records.
Okay.
No one has that position in the archives or around the country.
Okay. Major.
Yeah.
And then when you developed this love of history, wanted to become a history teacher, when did you make the adjustment that you wanted to really focus on Black history?
I was transformed, not adjustment.
Oh, okay.
When I was a young PhD student in '78, I went to the University of Maryland to study under Ira Berlin.
Okay.
And he had a project at the National Archives, the Freedom and Southern Society Project. What he was doing was looking at the transition from slavery to freedom, because all that's documented in federal records.
Okay.
And he brought his 2 or 3 PhD students down to work on that project. Having a love and compassion for history, I knew I was in the gut of the nation's history. And when I saw African American history documented in these records, I came to the realization that this is the place I'm going to be.
My goodness.
So it took about 1.5 years for me to give up my aspiration to be a history professor.
Okay.
And become an archivist. But the good Lord took care of me, because in 1984, Howard University called and asked me, we got a course for you to teach, could you do it? I said, yeah, I'll come on.
Wow, so you got the best of both worlds.
That's how I use it.
My goodness, that's wonderful. And did the experience you had about trying to understand this Black rage and your development of love of history, did you still have that once you got to the National Archives and recognized
No,
that?
in fact, it grew.
Oh, okay.
It grew tenfold.
Oh, did it?
Because I was coming across documents that went back to the 18th century.
Okay. A lot of anger there, I'm sure.
Oh, man. It was amazing how the government documented all of its history. Because as the country grew, as the government grew, the records that were created are really records of how the government did its business. And anybody who came in contact, any association and organization who came in contact with the government, that relationship was documented. So they're
good and the bad.
The good and the bad.
My goodness.
So that documentation of African Americans go back to the American Revolution.